Today in this video, we're gonna work on some mobility of the feet, way to open up the bottoms of the feet using just one simple tool, and that's going to be a lacrosse ball. I like using a lacrosse ball because it's got less give than something, say like a tennis ball or some of those other massage balls that might be out there. So this is what I highly recommend that you use. Would be something harder, lacrosse ball. Softball would be an intense one, something along those lines. If you find that as you get going with this that you have a lot of tension, a lot of pain in the bottoms of your feet, you might want to start with something softer, and then as you gradually move up and get better at these things, use something a little bit harder. So before we even get into rolling out the feet, we're gonna go through a short little test. You're gonna quiz your body a little bit to see how it feels. So go ahead, take off your shoes, make sure you don't have anything extra on your feet. We're gonna stand up nice and tall and get a good sense of what your legs feel like. Maybe get a good sense of what your lower back is feeling like, what the whole system of your body has going on here. Grounding the feet into the floor. Notice what tension you may or may not have. Now, drop the chin towards the chest. We're gonna roll it forward into a forward fold. And once again, assess what your body feels like here. Do you have a lot of tension in your hamstrings? Does your lower back feel tight? One side feel a little bit tighter than the other? All of those things are just things to be aware of. Okay, you're gonna roll yourselves back up and keep your little assessment in mind, okay? We'll start with the ball. Place it underneath the ball of the right foot to get going. All right, maybe I'll turn sideways. Perhaps you'll see a better view from here, who knows? Place it right under the ball of your foot, and then start putting your body weight onto that ball. Okay, already you might be like, oh God, this hurts. That's okay. We wanna find something that doesn't feel quite so comfortable. From here, you're gonna roll across the top of the foot, right, from side to side. You're searching for trigger points, you're searching for things that make you go, and you don't want to step on that ball too hard. They're all just points of tension. We have a lot of connective tissue in the bottom of the foot, so rolling it out with the ball, you'll see in a few minutes after we've gotten through one foot how much that tension in the connective tissue in the soles of the feet can lead up the rest of the chain and actually create a lot more tightness through the rest of your body. So all I'm doing here is rolling from side to side, from the big toe edge of my foot across to the pinky toe side edge. If I get to a place that feels really tense, I'm gonna stop on that spot, and then I'm going to contract the muscle. So I'm pretending my hand is my foot. I'm gonna contract the muscles, maybe clench my toes around the ball, and then flex, bring them up and try to spread the toes as much as possible, okay? So on any trigger point you get to, you wanna work the muscle that's right around that trigger point, okay? And a trigger point is just a spot that feels more tender than others, okay? So all right, I've gone across the ball of my foot. I'm not feeling too much right now, so what I'm gonna do is now move that ball or move my foot a little bit further down the line, closer to my heel, so that the line that I'm working across now isn't just the ball of my foot, but it's just underneath of it. Just, I don't know, maybe a half an inch, a quarter of an inch closer to my heel than I am to my toes from before. So I'm gonna do the same thing. Just kind of scan the whole foot from one side to the other, letting that tissue have time to release, letting my brain have time to connect in with the rest of my muscles, what I'm feeling, right? Maybe I've just been walking around all weekend in weird shoes. Maybe I've done hard workouts where I'm contracting my feet a lot and I haven't spent the time to just notice what's going on with my feet. It might sound silly, it might sound dumb, it might sound trivial, but the feet are important. Yeah, we're standing on them all day. It is the one point of contact with the ground, with the earth, we make pretty much on a whole day basis, right? We're not walking around on our hands, we're not rolling around on the floor. I mean, sometimes I do, but that's because I'm weird. Yeah, you're walking around all day. Your feet are always in contact with the earth, with, I don't know, your shoes, whatever you're standing on, they are your main point of contact. So they do a lot without you realizing. So giving them some love here is going to be important. Again, I didn't find much along that line, so I'm gonna move a little bit closer to my heel and scan slowly down until I make my way through my entire foot. Okay, and it's kind of nice. I'm glad I haven't found anything yet. Maybe that means I'm taking care of my body. Maybe that means I haven't overworked anything in my feet or in other parts that you'll see coming up. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep on moving. If any of this video starts to move too fast, say I get, through my foot faster than you will at home, just pause it. Pause the video. You can spend as much time as you need to work on your own body. There are days where I feel like I could spend 10 minutes per foot, if not more. So no shame in taking lots and lots and lots of time to work out your feet, okay? So reminders again, if you find a trigger point, if you find a spot that feels yucky, it feels sticky, feels crunchy, feels gross, feels like it makes you want to go a little bit, you pull away from that ball, you want to contract and release the muscle. So flex your toes, round them, curl them around themselves, not around the ball. Just got to keep working the muscles. If you're going to increase your mobility anywhere, today we're talking about mobility of the feet. If you want to increase that, you have to work the muscle. You have to work it at its end ranges. Getting into some of these massaging trigger points is helping us push that muscle to its end range. It's stretching it more than it would normally be. And then we're working the muscle by contracting and releasing it on top of the ball. So as I'm getting closer to my heel, now I have to change how my foot is established on the floor. I can't keep the heel on the floor anymore and have enough body weight into the ball. So I'm gonna shift my weight more towards the ball of my foot, put my other foot wherever I need it, and continue working. I like to scan across from side to side. For me, that helps me keep track of where I am in my rolling technique. I wouldn't say there's a right answer. There's not a specific way you have to do this, but it's important that you do have a plan and that you have a structured way of working across the whole foot so that you know you're not gonna miss any parts. There've certainly been times in the past when I've recommended foam rolling or using a lacrosse ball, a tennis ball to roll out things that feel tight, yucky, sticky, whatever you want to call it. And people get around and they just start doing this. They're like, yeah, it feels really good. I like that. That's not going to do much long term, right? If you don't have a plan, if you don't have a way to progress, if you don't have a way to track what you're doing, how do you know it's going to work? More than likely it's not, and then you're not going to stick with it. Nothing that you don't stick with, that's going to be a good one. We're not going to edit these videos, by the way. You're getting what you get. Anything that you don't stick with is not going to make a change for you. You have to stay consistent with your work in order to see progress. So, like I said, pick a way that you work across the foot that makes sense for you and do that. Have a plan before you do any of your mobility work. So now that I've gotten here, I'm all the way to my heel, okay? The heel is a weird one. I don't have a lot of sensory feedback through my heel, so I'm not getting the same kind of pain, the same kind of feelings that I would through the rest of my foot, but I can feel stuff crunching around. So I'm just gonna work into those crunches a little bit, try to roll through them. I'm kind of using that sensation of crunch as something that should be worked on as well, okay? So scratch across the heel a little bit. And then once you get finished with going from the ball of the foot back to the heel, now I'm gonna come all the way forward again to the toes. Okay, so I'm gonna use my big toe first. And I'm gonna put the ball of the foot on the floor, the big toe up the ball of the ball. So the ball of the foot's on the floor. I'm getting a big stretch by lifting that big toe joint up this way. And then try to lift your heel off the floor and place it back down. Lifting the heel off the floor is going to give you a much larger stretch underneath the sole of the foot. So there's a muscle that helps you move your big toe in the leg. That tendon connects through the ankle and underneath the foot. By doing this movement, we get to stretch the tendon, we get to stretch the muscle, and this can be an uncomfortable one. So dig in. I'm sorry, and you're welcome at the same time. Yeah, this can be yucky. You can hold it if you can manage it. If you can stomach the hold it. Another thing that you can do here, again, if you want to increase your mobility, you're gonna push your toe, dig into that ball, like gas pedal into it as much as you can, and then relax it. And you can do that again. Push the big toe in like you're trying, I almost feel like I'm gonna play marbles. I'm like, shoot that lacrosse ball away, and then relax. Next up, we're gonna take the next toe and do the same thing. If you're able to individually separate your toes, great. If they kind of come as a unit at this point, that's all right. You wanna separate them as much as you can, but the same thing. So I'm bending my knee, peeling my heel off the floor, searching for a feeling of stretch underneath the sole of my foot, getting some of those tendons, ligaments that move and flex the toes to stretch a little bit more. That one wasn't too bad for me, so I'm not gonna do the push into the ball and release, but if you do find some ones that are on the tighter side, remember, add the contraction of the muscle. So drive into the lacrosse ball, push the toes in, engage all of those things, and release a few times, and that'll help the muscles to get longer and stronger and more mobile. That's kind of a myth also, by the way. Muscles don't get longer if you use your mobility training. They're as long as they're going to be. It might feel like you have more range with those muscles, but that just means that your nervous system is used to you stretching to a certain limit. If you increase your mobility, if you increase your range of motion, your nervous system is learning to be comfortable at longer ranges. The muscle, like I said, is as long as it's gonna be. You're not gonna make your muscle any longer, but you can train your body to feel safer when the muscles are stretched longer, so it feels like you've got more out of it. All right, so I've made it all the way down to my pinky toe. And last but not least on this side, I'm just gonna do the fun thing, the one that I made fun of before, and just kinda scratch around the bottom of my foot. Anything that feels nice, release some of the tissue, get some more blood flow going. Almost done on this one side. Take as much time as you want to do this. If you want to go revisit any of those points on this right foot, you can. I'm feeling good for now, so I'm going to step off the ball and come back to stand again. Notice the difference from side to side. My right foot feels awesome. It feels like it's spreading out to the floor. I always think about like pancake batter that I just put onto a griddle. It's just like everything just spreads out so nicely. Left foot, on the other hand, still feels tight and tense. I can even feel some sensations running up the whole side of my right leg to make it feel a little bit nicer. Here's a fun one. Go back to your forward fold. So roll it on down, reach your hands towards your toes, towards the floor, and compare the difference from side to side. Fingers crossed. Right side feels a lot better. Yeah, mine does. Magic. At least it seems like magic. We didn't stretch the hamstrings, we didn't stretch the low back. All we did was roll out the bottom of the foot. So going back to what I said before, this is what I mean about some of this tissue. The connective tissue in the bottom of the foot has lines that work up the rest of the body. And when you work from the ground up this way, you can start to see how all that connects, and you can start to find more range, more mobility in other places that maybe you wanted to before but had a hard time. So let's move on to the second foot. For me, that's the left. It's probably gonna be reversed on your video, so if you're following me and mirroring me, just know that, but it doesn't matter. You got 2 feet. Make sure you switch to the other one, right? I'm gonna start all the way at the ball of the foot again. For me, I'm making that plan. I know that I like to start at the ball. I like to go across side to side from big toe to pinky toe edge, searching for trigger points, searching for things that feel gross, searching for things that make me want to pull my body weight away from the ball. If you do notice yourself pulling away a little bit, my recommendation is to pause and take a few deep breaths and see if you can find relaxation again and just sink into that point. Okay, you're looking for those spots. Once you find one, you'll contract the muscles and then release the muscles. So maybe you're gonna curl your toes around the ball, then you're gonna pull them back up a couple times, and then reassess, right? You're still standing on that same spot. Does it hurt as much? If it does, do a few more rounds of the contract and release. If it doesn't, great job. You did it, you worked out that trigger point, and then you can move on to the next to try to find another one. Reminders too that you can always pause, you can go back. If I end up not doing this the same amount of time on one foot than the other foot, you can set a timer for yourself. You know, maybe this is something that you want to start incorporating into a recovery routine. If your feet hurt a lot, if your hamstrings feel tight, if you get plantar fasciitis, things like that, try this. Give yourself a challenge. Do it for 10 minutes a day for the next week. See what difference it makes. 10 minutes is not that long. Give yourself 5 minutes per foot and just reassess at the end of the week. See if you're feeling better. It is nice when you can just focus on one thing. But if you gotta multitask, you can probably roll out your feet while you're brushing your teeth. Granted, I don't think you're gonna brush your teeth for 10 minutes, but I don't know what your dental hygiene is like, so maybe that needs improvement too. Just saying. Right, now this could be a me thing, or it could be that I already rolled out one foot, so my right foot still feels great. The left one feels a lot tighter. Like I said, I've got that basis of comparison of like, wow, my right foot feels really fantastic right now still, and the left is not there. So it feels a little tighter in comparison, but I'm gonna give it time. I'm gonna work through it. Since this leg does feel, or this foot does feel a little bit tighter, I might be taking more time with this foot. It's possible. You could apply the same technique to any other part of your body. Okay? So I'll tell you this, I'll give you a little heads up before I get more videos out. You can do this on your calves, you can do it on your glutes, you can do it on your back, your shoulders, up into your upper traps if you start to get tight there. And I'll be releasing those videos too. I'll take you through all of those parts. Anyone who's not able to make an in-person class, an in-person mobility class, these are great options for you to do. And that's why I wanted to get them out for you. I think they are simple ways to help you feel a lot better. Help you keep moving longer, moving well. And that's the whole point, right? So making sure that once again, when we get to that second side, as you get closer to your heel, you won't be able to keep your heel on the floor anymore. Okay, so here I am kind of lifting up the back side of my foot, ball of the foot is on the ground. Playing around with different ways to shift my weight, finding out if I'm able to shift my weight over that ball or if it's too intense. Like this spot's getting a little yucky. So maybe I'll put more weight onto the other foot, kind of limit the pressure that I'm putting onto that place. Move the foot around, try to contract the muscles that are being pushed on at the moment. Once you get down to that heel itself, you know, let me know if you feel similarly to the way I do with like, I don't feel as much pain. I don't get that sensation in my heel, but I still feel things crunching around. And maybe that's lucky because I don't have plantar fasciitis right now. If you do, this might hurt a lot more. So just know that. Be careful. Only go through things that feel like they're safe for you to do on your own, right? You don't have to push your body to any way that's going to make you feel uncomfortable and if you're not sure that it's right for you. All right. Almost towards the end here, we're going to put the ball of the foot on the floor, the toe up the lacrosse ball, and we're starting to stretch the tendon that connects the big toe and stretch those muscles. This is your FHL. All right, this side feels like it could use some extra love, so I'm going to go ahead and start pushing the ball with the big toe, so pressing my big toe into the ball as hard as I can, and then relaxing it, trying to pull the big toe away. Pushing in as hard as I can, activating that muscle, trying not to fall down, and back and forth a few times. After you've done a few of those presses, you might find that you can increase your range of motion right away. It's pretty cool. Ball of the foot to the floor, toes up the ball, find the stretch. This could be very uncomfortable. If you're not used to bending the toes back that far, it's not gonna feel good. But the more you do it, the better it'll start to feel. So if it's the first time that you're doing this video, again, sorry and you're welcome. But if it's the next several times you're doing it, this is getting better and better and better. Maybe you've incorporated doing this on your own and you don't need to follow along with the video anymore, and that's excellent. It's probably a goal. Make your way through all 5 toes, or however many toes you have. And then back. All right, last little bit. On the ball is your scratching. I call it scratching. I'm thinking about like scratching a pencil, as if the ball, I don't know, were a pencil, and I want to get every single surface of the bottom of my foot covered in drawings. Scratchy drawings. Or paint, or whatever medium you prefer. Oh no, I lost it. Come back. So if there's spots that you feel like you need to touch upon again, great, go back. You can do that. Otherwise, set that ball off to the side and once again, come back to stand on both feet. This is that magical moment. Hopefully everything feels excellent and awesome. And we'll go ahead and take that forward fold. One more time. Notice the difference. For me personally today, I feel more freedom basically up to my knees and a little bit up into my hamstrings. I still feel tightness in my low back for today. So you may not get everything to relax just by rolling out the feet, but chances are you feel better now than when you started. So if that's the case, I highly recommend picking up that ball, making this a habit, and get into some rolling for your feet. And that's gonna be it for today.